Hey, brothers and sisters, what's up? This is the Reluctant Nabi back again. And I wanted to just inform you on something before we get started. Did you know that according to this guy, Carvo B. Porras, in his book, A History of Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, founded in 1565, never experienced a major destruction caused by bombings, earthquake, hurricanes, or fire. Yeah, like kind of almost nothing happened there for a minute. So I was in class and I did a informative speech on the favelas, and I decided to parlay that into a video since I haven't put one up in a while. But I wanted to make 2 points. And this goes out to Kev Morrison and Michael Patterson. All right. So before I get started, let me greet everybody real quick. Kamusta ka, kamusta po kayo, Havorten hardu gudag, ola oi trabe, vasas los bonjimizmi, kero bawani konnichiwa, ni hao ni ama, sani bonani, jumbo harbarigani, assalamu alaikum and shalom. All right, and I want y'all to pay attention to this hat. Y'all know what it is for those of you that's been listening to me for a while. All right, this is my Flamengo hat. And as y'all know, Flamengo is one of the most popular soccer team, if not the most popular soccer team in Brazil. Not the national team, but Flamengo. All right. Now, the national team is popular, but Flamengo got its own store where they only sell Flamengo products like this hat. It is also a very popular team, if not the most popular team, amongst the people that live in the favelas. It's how I get around so well. They call me a Flamenguista. All right. And so one of the things that bothered me when it came to an incident concerning Michael Patterson and Kevin Morrison, and yes, I'm naming them because the things that I give as thank you gifts goes towards what I think I can do as an individual person in these areas like this. All right. And being that they are what they are, I'm going to explain to you in a minute why you just cannot mail anything there. I spoke to a lot of brothers, well, let's get together and mail some stuff there. They really don't understand. You can't mail. There's no addresses there. People just know where people live. Period. There are no addresses. They just know where you live. All right? There's no street numbers, none of that. They just know where you live. And y'all can see by the picture here. So what happened is that one of the guys made a donation in the amounts that I said I would send a particular type of thank you gift. I got it from places like the idea from places like NPR because I wanted to thank people. But understand, I was never trying to sell anything. I don't sell anything. Those of you that are close to me know that I give everything. But for those that donate, I want to give something back, right? Not sell anything, right? And so what happens is that the guy, Michael Patterson, ordered something from me that went to an address that he sent me. It was picked up by Kev Morrison from the office in Michael Patterson's name. So this lets me know they're both in the same hotel. And then some of the money that Michael Patterson donated, well, it wasn't a donation. He was trying to buy some stuff. And so I don't want nobody on my channel trying to buy stuff that are meant for thank you gifts. That's one. And then he went on PayPal and got stuff back claiming fraud. And so I just gave him the money he asked for back. All right. I don't want people like that even near my channel. All right. See, here's the problem with dudes like that. when they think about me going to Brazil, this is the image that they have. This right here. They want to go here, go to the beaches, and maybe this is it. See some women, hook up with some women. This is what they have in mind. This is their motivation. Not realizing that I've never seen the beaches until I was going back and forth 2 years in. All right. I spent most of my time in the favelas. All right. But 2 years in, it took me 2 years in before I went to the beaches and saw women running around in bikinis. Because whereas it was my motivation to go to Brazil on my first visit out of curiosity to see how I could do it on a regular basis and do it at a lower cost for my listeners, I ended up in the favelas as a result of seeing what was happening on the ground as a result of what the government did to prepare for the Olympics by bulldozing homes and declaring war on the people in the favelas using the police and military police. So I want y'all to understand this. This was not my motivation, ever. And as a result of being there, it never became my motivation. Now, granted, if I went on the beach and any of these females was interested in me, oh, I'd be motivated to talk to them. All right. But my purpose for going there is not this. So, brothers that want to tie me up, oh man, I want to meet with you at the hotel. I can show you where the beaches are. I'll take you there. I'll even make sure you're comfortable with finances to get you started. But this is not my motivation because while you're hanging out here, I'm going to be in the favelas. Y'all remember this Villa Alianza, my first trip. All right. As a result of my class, I want y'all to understand where the name favela come from. It is a derogatory name for a barrio without government help. It comes from a skin irritating tree named the spurge, or in the spurge family. All right, this is where the name comes from. It's indigenous to Bahia. All right, and it came as a result, the favelas came up as a result of soldiers, former slaves, and slaves needing a place to run to or needing a place to live, because if you look like me, you understand, with all this melanin, you weren't welcome in the cities unless you were a servant. This is the dark history of Brazil. It's as dark as the United States. When we talk about privilege, we need to stop saying white privilege and start saying European dominated privilege. They somehow sucked everybody into following their laws, their way of life, and then trying to tell us that their way of life is our way of life. And our way of life was more friendly, and that's how they got a foothold into all of our places. Wiped many of our warriors out with diseases, took it over, and then gave us this. All right? My first visit, I'm going to play this again. This is Selmina driving me up on my first visit to the favela, first ever, in 2016. I thought this tree just fell down here. I didn't know. It took me to get around the tree to see these barriers to understand, oh no, this was a barrier to stop something. Being in the military, I understand barriers. Some of you that go on posts understand them. You go around them, right? And This was an eye-opener to me and stated that it showed me that the people here did not want other people here that did not belong. Oh, yeah, there are guns here. You just don't see them now. At the time, and even so to now, I am not that dumb to film the gun toters. That's a good way to have to give up your expensive phone. All right. So as we get into this, there was a book called Living in the Crossfire by all these people at the bottom, right? The first favela was known as Provincia in the center of Rio de Janeiro. It appeared in the late 19th century, built by soldiers that had nowhere to live, like I explained. This was following something called the Canudos War. All right. So if you wondered how these things were put up, they were put up by soldiers that knew how to build things. They were put up by the slaves and former slaves that knew how to build things. But because as the government surrounding the favelas were picking up, like in the cities and in the boroughs of Rio de Janeiro, Bahia, Salvador, they left the Afro people out of the development. So they just kept developing things in the way they knew how. All right. That's Selmina. This was my first trip in this neighborhood. Now I just walk around. I know everybody there. All right. So I just walk around, chill out with some of the people, sit down. Y'all saw when I took a lot of the soccer balls. I was in one of those people's houses, and that's where we were blowing up the soccer balls. Selmina would have freaked had she known I was at. Well, she did freak because she sent somebody over to make sure I don't. They are too protective, but it's out of love. All right, so things are complicated by the government, the media, and people's perceptions based on the government and the media. All right, and so why would I want to keep going there? Because I feel more at home with the hospitality of these people than I do here at my quote unquote home that I grew up, seeing how ignorant people are towards one another in general. You got a lot of nice people that will give you the shirts off their backs in the United States, but with all this country has gone through, you would think that there would be more cohesiveness here. But no, there's that European privilege. And when we say European privilege, we're not talking about all European descendants. We're talking about the ones running the government and the police force. Even the ones that don't run the government and police force are in solidarity with the Afro men and how wicked the government and the police force have been in many cases. And you have good police officers. This police thing, it's a problem everywhere. Remember the World Cup followed by the Olympics in Brazil. That those events caused so much death to Afro brothers in Brazil as a result of the government, and the media complicated matters further by covering for the government, all so that they can have these events that usually make the rest of the people in these countries poorer while making a few in the government richer. Y'all are familiar with all the corruption with Petrobras, Dilma Rousseff, and all the rest of that, right? 5 times as many people injured from 2013 to 2015 by the police. The highest shootouts, 2015. In these shootouts, there were 24 killed for every 2 police deaths. You know why? All these police officers saying that they fear for their lives are liars when they murder people that are unarmed. The police are going into something armed with a vest, with a bulletproof vest, and in these cases of innocent people that are shot unarmed, the police knew that they were unarmed. The reason why they say fear for life is because in our laws in the United States, in our laws, they gave them that out so that they could never be prosecuted. Who would make such a law? A corrupt government? A corrupt city officials? Corrupt police force? Yes to all of that. That don't mean the whole force is corrupt, but the people that make these laws are. In Brazil, it's a different story. It's all out war. All right? But yet and still, look at all the stuff that the police wear. And basically, in the favelas, are not that. All right? And so there's a guy that wrote a book, Zurandi, in 2014. And I wanted to bring this up, Brazil's Dance with the Devil. So you can kind of understand his opinion on the World Cup and the Olympics. Most poor countries that won the bid for the World Cup and the Olympics ended up being more broke when the World Cup and Olympics left than when they were there. Why is this? Because in order to prepare, what Brazil did is they bulldozed people's homes and left a bunch of people homeless, living under bridges. All right? This is the legacy of the governments. And then before 2014's World Cup, they had a policy to pacify the favelas, which means that they sent the police out in an armed war against the residents of the favela. Now that's some deep stuff. It seems like everybody that are run by European countries who were indigenous or former slaves have problems with the laws that help the police eliminate us. And a lot of times the governments are the ones that's giving the police their marching orders. You know, the people running them. That's something to think about. Hey, y'all, real dancers. All right? Real dancers. Do something. Da, da, da. Come on. Get down. What you get down? Do the running man. These are the dancers, y'all. Come on. Do the running man. There you go. All right. Most of these girls here are a little more grown. All right. This was when I started to go into the favelas, the favelas. And these are why I keep going back. All right. This is in the favela, given all that's happened to them. They can have joy like this. But there's something else significant about this and this place. This place is Aunt Selma's house, her old house. Well, not her house, her mother's house. The NGO that I go and help out with, where Aunt Selma and her husband Francisco became my best friends. All right. This is where, well, this is the old NGO before we left and moved to a different place near this city of Bangu. This was her house. And And what's significant is she made it out, learned a little English, worked at hotels, made some money, then came back. You will find that this is an ongoing thing when you look at who runs the NGOs in these favelas. It is people that come back. They leave, get money, and they come back. So, understanding this, with all my time there since 2016, I figured something out. What I figured out is that some of the times you learn more from people. No, most of the times you learn more from people than from books. Respect. If you give respect, you will get respect in return. All right? And the other thing, when I give something.
Fala agora.
Ok.
Comunidade Nova Holanda.
Comunidade.
Fala agora.
Ok.
Comunidade Nova Holanda.
Comunidade.
Comunidade Nova Holanda.
Holanda?
Sim, Nova Holanda. Complexo
Nova
da Maré.
Holanda. Ah, tá. Comunidade Nova Holanda.
Essa é a rapaziadinha do tijolinho, pô.
Ah. Novo profissional.
Fala o nome de vocês, vai.
Nome. Seu nome?
Carlos, Sérgio, Gustavo, Fabiano, Gabriel.
Seu nome?
Seu nome?
When you give,
Quanto?
Prometeu você que ele vai fazer.
Quando você.
Tá tudo aqui, tudo aqui.
Quadrilha.
Está aqui dentro. Tá aqui dentro.
Ok.
Tá tudo aqui. Vamos. Tá aqui dentro.
Opa! Corre.
just want See, they're good. They're real good. You see that, right? When you give to these children, you never know which one is going to become big, famous, and return to open their own NGO. One of the things that keep people with potential from realizing their potential is not having access to the thing that they could work with or practice with. Soccer is big here, and the soccer players that usually make it out come back and give back to the community. The reason why there aren't many more, because there aren't as many soccer balls in the homes of children. It isn't like the United States where in every home there's at least a basketball. So this is why I take the stuff here. This is why I just stick with the donations. Even if YouTube don't pay me for my videos, I don't care. Because I think we can make a mark through donations, me taking these things in here. But the last thing I need is people that want to take up or think they can buy the thank you gifts. All right? These things are not for sale. These things are to thank people that can help me make an impact on communities by doing something that may seem little to us, but can grow into something big if one of these children make it big. That should be something for everyone to think about, huh? Especially before you start trying to rob people's channels for either their thank you gifts or their donations. With that said, I'm out.